Meanwhile, in the celestial Wushwang dynasty, a messenger informed Yuumingkong that the coordinates of the heavenly skies realm had been confirmed. The Wushwang guard had selected their candidates and was preparing for the formation of the second team. Yuumingkong commended the messenger's performance and allowed them to leave. Yuumingkong believed that, according to the memories of her past life, humanity's ancestor walked out of the heavenly skies realm. In order to protect Master Gu, she had to seize the opportunity and eliminate humanity's ancestor before they could return to the upper realm. She was grateful that the distance between the heavenly skies realm and the inner city was considerable, so humanity's ancestor's palace couldn't quickly locate the reincarnated humanity's ancestor either. She anticipated that she would need to return to her ancestral lands to quickly receive the Emperor's Kai. This would enable her to rapidly refine the remaining divine spirits given to her. She considered this plan to be the most solid one. She also thought that if Master Gu betrayed her again in that life, she would have to take action. On the other hand, Master Gu was informing Hai Ming, who was bowing before him, that he had heard about Hai Ming attempting various methods to remove his clan's slave mark. This was in an effort to free themselves from Master Gu's control. However, Hai Ming vehemently denied it, stating that he wouldn't dare. Master Gu stepped off his seat, and he asked Hai Ming if he wished to be a hero. Hai Ming panicked and admitted to Master Gu that he was wrong. He begged Master Gu not to kill him and to give him another chance. He would definitely serve him faithfully. But Master Gu told him not to worry, as he would never kill him because, after all, he was the omnipotent emperor's chosen one. Hai Ming was surprised and asked Master Gu how he knew about it. Master Gu told Hai Ming that the omnipotent emperor had sent him to tell him that as long as he truly believed and thought of what he wished, it would definitely happen. Those who had witnessed the truth of it all would be able to witness eternity within reincarnation itself. Hai Ming was surprised when he found out that Master Gu was also the omnipotent emperor's believer. He said that it had already made sense why Master Gu had a familiar aura that he sensed when he first came. Master Gu shushed him. Master Gu told Hai Ming that the omnipotent emperor had given him a task. Within 3 months, he needed to find 30 young cultivators with great talent who were staunch believers. Excitement filled Hai Ming's eyes when Master Gu told him that once he accomplished his tasks, he would be able to witness the omnipotent emperor's true form once he recited his name. Hai Ming confirmed that he understood, telling Master Gu that he should leave it to him as he shall complete those tasks faithfully. Master Gu told him that he was giving him a huge opportunity by making use of him so heavily, so he shouldn't disappoint him. Hai Ming responded that even if he dies, he would never let the omnipotent emperor down. Master Gu sneered at Hai Ming and thought that utilizing faith and idolization was way better than threatening them. Even if it was a facade, it was the strength of an idol in someone's life. Master Gu reminded Hai Ming that the omnipotent emperor favors him heavily, so he should take good note of that while thinking about the coming of the eternal darkness and the humanity's ancestors' appearance. He thought that if everything goes well, he could begin the second step of his next plans. Hai Ming told Master Gu that he had remembered what he said in his heart, and he would never let him down. He also thanked Master Gu for making him realize those things and told him to take care. All the while, Master Gu was thinking about how the eternal darkness was a calamity that cannot be avoided by humanity. But to him, it was an immense opportunity, so he cannot let humanity's ancestor ruin such a good opportunity for him. A few moments later, Master Gu arrived at the Sovereign Peak, and a messenger was reporting to him that the Sea King had been heavily injured. They declared that they would seal themselves away in their palace for 10,000 years. Upon acknowledging the information, Master Gu told the messenger that she may go, to which she agreed. While he was reading a letter, Master Gu smiled as he thought that his mother's birthday feast was drawing close, and she had requested for him to bring Gu Zioner along with him. That would be a good opportunity for him to make contact with the Peach Blossom village that was supporting Gu Zioner. He said that the tragedy he had prepared for her for such a long time has finally begun. Meanwhile, Gu Zioner was also reading a letter, and she was surprised that her first uncle wrote a letter to her, asking her to return home. Gu Zioner let out an exasperated sigh as she told Da King that honestly, the moment that Master Gu admitted that she was part of the Gu family, she should have realized that the day would come when the Gu family would contact her. But Da King just responded to her with a hiccup. Gu Zioner got annoyed, and she threw the letter in the air, saying that the Gu family was not even sincere in inviting her back because they were still looking down on her. Gu Zioner strongly declared that she was not indefinitely not going back, and whoever wants to go back could go back themselves because she was not going back either way. Suddenly, someone sounded amused at Gu Zioner's declaration that she was not going back. It was Master Gu, and he suddenly appeared behind Gu Zioner, who was startled, asking him if he was trying to scare her to death by appearing out of the blue like that. Gu Changge quickly stepped away from him. She grew some wings and flew away as she declared again that she was not and would never go back because those people simply used a letter to ask her to come back when they had chased her out of the Gu family before. There was no way she would do that. Gu Changge was confused when she suddenly found herself suspended in the air. Master Gu chained her down with his aura, telling her that she had really disappointed him by still trying to test his patience when she was facing so much difficulty running away due to her weak strength. Gu Changge told Master Gu that he was despicable, and that what he was doing wasn't fair. She challenged him to suppress his cultivation and fight with her. Bringing Gu Changge back to the ground, Master Gu lectured her that in a true battle, she would have already died because there was no such thing as fairness on a battlefield. He said that his father had written a letter to him to bring her back to the family. Gu Changge threw a tantrum, saying that she wouldn't go back because it was his dad and not hers, and he was the one who had chased her out before. Master Gu stared at Gu Changge without saying anything. Master Gu told Gu Changge that she was mistaking something because his father had ordered him to bring her back, not to accompany her back home. Therefore, she didn't have a choice. However, Gu Changge didn't care what he said, and she strongly told him that she was not going back. Suddenly, Master Gu grabbed Gu Changge by her waist. Gu Changge blushed and wondered if Master Gu was trying to forcibly take her home like that. Gu Changge was surprised when Master Gu nonchalantly placed her on his shoulder. She asked him what he was doing, demanding that he put her down. But Master Gu told her that if she continued wriggling around, he would tie her up and bring her back to the clan. He also added that she was acting as though he hadn't carried her around like that when they were young. Gu Changge was taken aback by what Master Gu said, and she stopped struggling. Melancholy filled her eyes as she remembered her complaints to Master Gu about how she couldn't walk anymore and how she was so hungry and tired. Gu Changge recalled the memory where Master Gu was carrying her on his back while he asked her why the hell she had followed him to the trial grounds and yelled at her to stop drooling on his clothes, as the two of them went into a portal, with Gu Changge complaining that if Master Gu couldn't carry her in a different way and Master Gu telling her to shut up. Something small emerged on the ground. It was Da King, and he was cursing, asking who the fucker was that had stepped on him in bird language. At the primordial royal clan, the palace of the divine Nine-Tails clan was located. A man lay on the ground, unaware of what was happening to him. He stared at his hand, feeling disoriented, contemplating his body. Suddenly, he sat up, terror filling his eyes as he wondered why his body had transformed into its current state. Looking around, he didn't recognize his surroundings. The last thing he remembered was cultivating in the Heavenly Emperor's palace. He wondered why he had suddenly appeared there. Staring into the bucket behind him, he concluded that the boy's soul had been exchanged with his own, as there was no other explanation for why he had no memory of the body's owner. Yin Xiang, the soul inside the body who was the biological son of Heavenly Emperor Yin, became furious when he saw his reflection in the water. He pondered how someone could dare to plot such a thing, especially when he was destined to rule over everyone in the future. Suddenly, someone called out Chu Fan, the name of the person who seemed to own the body Yin Xiang now inhabited. They asked if their young Miss Horse had been fed, warning against laziness that might delay her attendance at the birthday feast of the Gu family's matriarch. Learning the name of the person who owned the body he now occupied, his expression turned menacing, and he told Chu Fan to wait. Meanwhile, in a palace, someone laughed heartily. It was Chu Fan, and he couldn't believe that he had actually become the Heavenly Emperor Yin's only son, the most important person in the primordial royal clan. He wondered if he could be Heaven's chosen. Chu Fan rolled his eyes as he fantasized about Yin Mei, realizing that he had become the Heavenly Prince. He remembered that when he had been orphaned and left as a beggar on the streets, he had prepared himself for the possibility of dying in a world that preys on the weak. However, Yin Mei came into his life, offering him hope to continue living. Chu Fan recalled how Yin Mei had reached out to him. He clenched his fist. Chu Fan was enraged, thinking that stupid Bailai didn't deserve Yin Mei because only he loved her the most. As he had said before, Yin Mei would eventually be his, and he laughed hysterically. Meanwhile, at the Chengsheng Gu family residence, the celestial Wushwang dynasty, the Chengsheng Wang family, and a few other families had arrived. Master Gu and Gu Changge greeted those families at the entrance as they arrived. They all paid their respects to Master Gu, and Master Gu welcomed everyone. Wang Zijin asked Master Gu who the lady next to him was, and Master Gu said that she was her younger sister, who was so poor to the point that she was unable to even buy clothes for herself, which made Gu Changge mad, telling Master Gu that he was saying too much. On the other hand, Yu Mingkong was sitting with a lady at the table on a raised platform. Kong looked brutally at something in front of her, and she thought that it looked like a vixen took the opportunity to get close to Master Gu while she was not around. Seeing Wang Zijin and Master Gu talking, Kong was annoyed, and she wondered if Master Gu really thought that she wouldn't notice since Wang Zijin was dressed as a man. She thought that Master Gu looked so happy laughing and talking with Wang Zijin, but she realized that even she, who was currently at the Divine King Cultivation realm, was unable to see what realm Wang Zijin was currently in. Suddenly, Kong was surprised when Matriarch Gu, the primordial divine sect saintess, asked her what she was looking at. Kong nervously told her that she was looking at Master Gu, but Matriarch Gu knew that Kong was looking at Wang Zijin, and she said that she had never heard of such a genius being born into the Chengsheng Wang family who had a cultivation level of a quasi-sacred realm at such a young age. Kong was surprised when she heard that Wang Zijin was in the quasi-sacred realm. On the other hand, Wang Zijin smiled slyly when she realized that Kong had noticed her. Meanwhile, Matriarch Gu was teasing Kong, asking if she was jealous, and Kong denied it, saying that she believed that Master Gu wouldn't do anything. Matriarch Gu comforted Kong, saying that she shouldn't worry because, in accordance with the current Master Gu's character and personality, he was probably just acquainted with the lady, not to mention that she had seen them both grow up together, even the Master Gu of the past. Kong was surprised when she heard Matriarch Gu say current, and she wondered if she knew what had caused Master Gu's personality to suddenly change. Matriarch Gu sighed, and she told Kong that it had been hard on her to bear for such a long time. But Kong told her not to blame Master Gu because she had always been the one who had been apprehensive towards him, and she mistook his kindness for something else instead. Matriarch Gu was surprised at what Kong had just said. She looked around to observe the people. Matriarch Gu turned to ask Kong if she already knew about Master Gu's demonic heart, and Kong told her that it was her fault for causing her to worry because she now understands Master Gu's feelings towards her. Everyone in the hall was surprised when Matriarch Gu suddenly exclaimed that Kong was truly her daughter-in-law, and she was glad that she was, which made Kong embarrassed, saying that she hasn't married Master Gu yet. Matriarch Gu told Kong that it was something that was definitely going to happen in the future. While Kong continued to wonder what happened in the half-year before her reincarnation, she wondered if Master Gu really went down to the lower realms just to find some mysterious fortune. Kong told Matriarch Gu that she heard that Master Gu brought back 2 girls from the lower realm. One was called Lin Qiuhan, who was currently staying at the Ultimate Alchemy sect to learn alchemy, and the other was Su Qingge, who was sent to cultivate under her. Matriarch Gu confirmed that it was true, wondering what was up with it, and Kong asked her if she knew if there was anything unique with regards to those 2 girls. Matriarch Gu said that she had never met Lin Qiuhan, so she only knew that she was sent by Master Gu to the Ultimate Alchemy sect. But as for Su Qingge, she has 2 souls in a single body. The first soul was probably an incredible elder from the demonic sect. Matriarch Gu said that though she had tried to detect where it was from, her soul was too scattered and she could hardly find out anything. Kong narrowed her eyes as she thought that it seems that, similar to the research that she has conducted, Master Gu never cared about them after bringing them up there. It's almost as though they had lost their value to him and were cast aside. Kong thought that in her previous life, Master Gu didn't bring anyone back with him to the upper realm, so he must have found something in the lower realm that caused his personality to change like that. And that venture of his coincided with the moment she reincarnated, so she wondered if it could really be a butterfly effect caused by her reincarnation. Meanwhile, cultivators flocked around Master Gu as Langshan asked him if he had any ideas regarding the issue of the inheritor of demonic arts secretly going around killing geniuses, and Peng Fei added that he was the only one that had fought against the inheritor of the demonic arts, so there should be some things he could suggest that would be different from theirs. Master Gu informed them that, truth be told, it was also something that confused him because on the day that he fought with Ling, despite being heavily injured by him, he still maintained that fearless look on his face as though he had the confidence that someone would help him. While Master Gu told the other cultivators that he couldn't chase Ling because his injuries were severe, and he could only watch as he ran away, and how he was unable to tell what exactly the reason behind Ling's fearlessness was. Gu Zioner was busy thinking about how old-fashioned and expensive the clothes that she was wearing were and how she was thankful that they were bought with Master Gu's money. One of the cultivators who was listening was surprised to hear that Ling had help from someone, so he asked Master Gu if he was implying that there was more than one inheritor of the demonic arts. Master Gu clarified that it was just a guess of his, and he thought that the inheritor of demonic arts wasn't just a single person or that there was some kind of faction that had been backing it. Yu Langshan said that they should have known based on the fact that the inheritor of demonic arts of the past has always caused the worlds they were in to end up in complete disarray. However, as he wondered why an inheritor of demonic arts as strong as Yiling appeared just like that, Peng Fei wondered what they should do. Meanwhile, Yi Lu Lai was not participating in the discussion. She looked so depressed, looking down at her chest, and she sighed. On the other hand, at the immeasurable heavens, a guy sighed, complaining that they hardly see any beauties around the place lately. One of his female companions told him that perhaps the war with the Sea King's palace has probably scared all the beautiful ladies away. Chachu passed by the guy who complained that it was so boring, and they were unaware of her presence. Chachu stopped walking. With a cold look in her eyes, she mentioned Master Gu and the inheritor of demonic arts. Chachu thought that according to the rumors, the inheritor of demonic arts fought with Master Gu in the ancient immortal lands, but he had to flee since he was unable to beat him. Historically, the inheritors of demonic arts have never been defeated before in a one-on-one battle like that because they have always had multiple tricks up their sleeves. Chachu believed that although Master Gu's strength was extraordinary and he's rumored to be a true immortal, it was still a little ridiculous for him to be able to heavily injure the inheritor of demonic arts all by himself. Not to mention that the inheritor of demonic arts' first victim, Bai Lai, was someone with quite a bit of skill. She also believed that the reason Yinmei was able to survive together with Yiling was definitely not as straightforward as someone merely lusting over her body. Chachu pointed out that the problem was that things that happened after the incident were far too bizarre, as though someone had written a script for it beforehand, and those who would appear were merely characters in a story. She thought that, as the main character of that story, Yiling seemed to have been led by the nose, and that Yinmei seemed to have some kind of vital importance with that happening. And with how closely Yinmei was interacting with Master Gu, Chachu was wondering if the person who caused all those things could be Master Gu himself, since he was the one who benefited the most from all of that. Chachu furrowed her brow as she hoped that she was wrong, or else it would have terrifying implications for a huge number of factions. Meanwhile, Yingzhang was driving a horse carriage, unaware of the soul swapping. A female fox scolded him as Chu Fan, and she asked what was up with him because he did not even remember the type of spiritual grass to feed Xiao by. Yingzhang told the lady Kaior that he wouldn't do it again. Kaior lectured him that he better be more serious about those things because if not for their young mistress, he would be starving to death in some corner instead. Yingzhang couldn't believe that his status has dropped so low to the point where even a servant scolds him, however they like. He thought that if his soul wasn't exchanged, Kaior would have been in trouble. But since his soul has been exchanged, even the divine spiritual weapon that his father personally made for him has disappeared. He was weak as any other human. Yingzhang suddenly realized that he still had a chance. He would be able to expose Chu Fan if he were able to come in contact with the spirits of the Heavenly Emperor's mountain. And he was so deep in his thoughts that he was unaware that he had blurted out about the Heavenly Emperor's mountain. Kaior got mad at him, asking him what he was muttering about the Heavenly Emperor's mountains and if his head got kicked by a donkey because it was a place that someone like him shouldn't even mention. She told him that if he was still dreaming of becoming a prince of the heavens, he should be more practical and remember his place. Meanwhile, their young mistress, Yinmei, smiled as she thought that she had no idea what was going on with Chu Fan recently, especially with his sudden weird antics and constant muttering about the primordial Heavenly Emperor's mountain, Heavenly Emperor Ying. But she found it intriguing, so she decided that she would speak to Master Gu about it when she met him later. On the other hand, the Heavenly Emperor's daughter, Ying Yu, barged into her brother's room, confronting him about what she had heard, that he was preparing to make an appearance. Chu Fan, who was still in Yingzhang's body, asked her if there was a problem with it, and Ying Yu told him that according to their father's plans, they were only supposed to appear after the enlightenment path made an appearance. But Ying Yu told him that it was alright since it was something that he had decided on. She would listen to him, and it rendered Chu Fan speechless. Chu Fan clicked his tongue, and he looked away uninterested, thinking that even the Heavenly Emperor's daughter couldn't live up to a fraction of Yinmei's beauty. He remembered that when he was still a servant, Yinmei was that unattainable rainbow in the skies. As he thought about Yinmei's smile towards him, Chu Fan believed that Yinmei wasn't just treating him well because of how much she pitied him. To her, he was different from the rest. He also believed that it was just that due to his lowly status, Yinmei wasn't able to show her true feelings for him, and he understood that. Unaware of the true reason behind Yin Mei's smile, Chu Fan anticipated that soon he would be able to stand in front of her and open her heart up to him. He would finally be able to sweep her into his arms and help her revive her Heavenly Fox clan, because he was currently the person with the highest status among the primordial clans. Ying Yu was worried about her brother, while Chu Fan smiled sleazily, thinking about the Gu family matriarch's celebratory feast, and asked Yin Mei to wait for him. Meanwhile, at the Gu family's residence, many ships and people were at the entrance. Master Gu was still greeting the guests, and one of them was Kai Ling. On their side, Yu Mingkong approached Gu Zioner, asking her why she called her out, and Gu Zioner told her that she had conducted a small investigation into Master Gu's background, and something seemed strange. Yu Mingkong was taken by surprise by what Gu Zioner had just said. Gu Zioner mentioned that ever since Master Gu was born, all those who had witnessed his birth, even the midwife who had helped birth him, had all disappeared from the face of the earth. So, she figured that clearly there was something they had been trying to hide, and Yu Mingkong confirmed with her if what she was saying was that ever since Master Gu was born, something was wrong. Yu Mingkong thought about the fact that Master Gu was born with demonic arts, something known only to her, her father, and her mother-in-law. However, for everyone else, they thought that people weren't born with demonic arts but subsequently practiced them to wreak havoc in the world. So, she wondered what they were trying to hide. Gu Zioner added that she had always felt that Master Gu had no choice but to plot and steal her Dao Bone, and that there seemed to be something he couldn't talk about. He also seemed to feel a lot of guilt towards her because of it. Gu Zioner said that they could think of it in a way that Master Gu instigated the issue to trigger her hatred for him and purposely reacted coldly towards her afterward to train her emotionally. But she couldn't even beat Master Gu, so he must be so disappointed in her. That surprised Yu Mingkong, and it made her wonder if Gu Zioner would still think that way if she told her about her terrible death in her past life. On the other hand, the system suddenly notified Master Gu about how he earned fate and fortune points because Gu Zioner misdirected herself by doing a self-analysis, and he was so surprised that he accidentally blurted out Gu Zioner's name, which confused Kai Ling. Gu Zioner continued to say that back then, the Great Elder said that Master Gu was born with demonic tendencies. However, later on, he also said that Master Gu's actions seemed to be demonic but weren't demonic at all. Yu Mingkong was surprised when she heard Gu Zioner talk about being born with demonic tendencies. Yu Mingkong thought that there were many things born with demonic tendencies or characteristics, such as the primordial demonic soul or the primordial demonic energy. She was curious about what had influenced Master Gu to practice demonic arts. Both Zioner and Yu Mingkong were startled when Master Gu suddenly appeared behind them, asking if they were talking behind his back again. He pointed out their relaxation while he had been so busy that he had hardly had any time to rest. Gu Zioner acted irritated and walked away, bidding goodbye, mentioning that she had something to attend to. Yu Mingkong blushed as Master Gu hugged her from behind and asked whether she had no plans to relieve some of her husband's worries now that all the geniuses from the continents had gathered. She asked him how she should help. Master Gu sighed and stated that all the geniuses gathered there were far too weak, so there was no suitable candidate to be his scapegoat. Yu Mingkong was confused when Master Gu expressed his fear that the humanity ancestors people would arrive soon. Master Gu informed Yu Mingkong that she would become a widow when he died, surprising her. Yu Mingkong asked Master Gu what he meant by saying he couldn't find a scapegoat. Looking ahead, Yu Mingkong was amused when Master Gu told her that there was one right there. Meanwhile, Wang Wushwang informed Wang Zijin that Master Gu and Yu Mingkong seemed to be looking at her. While waving at them, she asked him what he was worried about and mentioned that she was so beautiful and amazing that it was normal for someone like her to be noticed by Yu Mingkong. She never thought she would be as open as that. Yu Mingkong asked Master Gu if she wasn't a suitable scapegoat, and Master Gu told her that if it weren't for her identity, she would definitely be a wonderful scapegoat for him. Yu Mingkong was confused about what Master Gu had just said and asked about her identity, while confirming whether she was not the daughter of the Wang family. Master Gu informed Yu Mingkong that Wang Zijin was the heir of the ancestral humanity palace, which surprised her. Master Gu pointed out that it seemed like she didn't know about that. Master Gu glanced at Yu Mingkong while thinking that it seemed that in Yu Mingkong's previous life, the ancestral humanity palace's heir was not Wang Zijin. He guessed that there wasn't just one heir to the ancestral humanity palace. While Yu Mingkong cursed in her head about how the story had changed and gone even more out of her control in that lifetime, she told Master Gu that if he couldn't use Wang Zijin, Maybe he should consider those ancient freaks. She started mentioning that there were the Immortal Lakes Genius, the Phoenix Clan's Flame Daozi, and the Golden Killen clans. Yuuminkong blushed and stopped talking when Master Gu teasingly asked her where his kind Yuuminkong had gone because it seemed that she was planning to join him in his various misdeeds. Master Gu leaned over to Yuuminkong and told her that he really liked that side of her. Yuuminkong agreed quietly as Master Gu told her not to worry because he would find a way to resolve it. In his mind, Master Gu thought that instead of those problems, he wondered when Yuuminkong would be able to tell him truthfully that she had been reincarnated because the rewards for that would be so much more. Suddenly, the system notified Master Gu that he had triggered the Heaven's Chosen Soul exchange with an expert event. Master Gu was surprised because the system had never indicated any event like that before, so he wondered if it could be something unique. With an evil grin on his face, Master Gu thought that it was great because he would use that person as a scapegoat.